Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and this is the Worldox virtual user group meeting that we at Attorney Computer Systems put on, and this is the September 2013 Worldox virtual user group meeting. It is raining outside. There are flash flood alerts for counties around us, so if we get disconnected, it's probably because we have floated away. Today we are going to talk about how to secure an individual file. We have talked in the past about security, and we will talk in the future about security. In fact, next month one of our topics is how to lock down an entire matter or an entire profile group or a certain type of document by using something we call ethical walls. But today we're looking at specifically what we can do with an individual document. And we're also going to talk about drilling down in a search, some of the more advanced methods that we have of searching and drilling down so that you might look for something and then within those 850 results want to find something else, and then within those 75 results want to find yet something else, and then finally getting to what you're looking for. It's very easy to do. It's a little confusing the way they use terminology to describe it. So we're going to talk about that, and when you're done you'll be able to do that very well. Before that, however, a little bit of housekeeping. This is the GoToWebinar control panel that you probably have on your screen over to the right. Jutting out from the left of that control panel are a series of buttons, the topmost which is a button with an arrow that points to the right. If you click that button with the arrow pointing to the right, it will get rid of this part and only show you this part. And then that button with the arrow pointing to the right will turn into a button with the arrow pointing to the left, which is what you would use to bring this back out into focus. You would do that if you'd like to type a question that Leanne will be monitoring for and will interrupt me at an appropriate time when she does get a question. Be sure to send the question after you type it. Don't just type it here. You have to hit the send button. And then while your question is being answered, be sure to type any follow-up questions you have right here, and Leanne will again monitor for those so that you'll be able to make sure that you get your question answered fully. If you're not feeling shy and instead you want to talk to us, just raise your hand by pressing this button that looks like a hand with an arrow pointing upwards in front of it. That will alert Leanne to the fact that you have a question, and when it's appropriate, she will interrupt me, unmute you, and let you ask a question. Again, keep asking the follow-up questions. You will remain unmuted until we're certain that you've got your question answered. So without any further ado, I guess I should mention, Mary Jo is on a tabs and accounting software install today, so I am on my own. Now, if you were here last month for the tabs virtual user group meeting, you'll know how frightened I am. I've done 2 of these in the last couple of weeks that I've had to do on my own because she was at another install a couple Mondays ago when we had our series of 2 tabs 3 and practice master virtual user group meetings. So I've kind of gotten pretty good at being on my own, but I'm still a little nervous, so please be gentle. Let me get rid of this, and we will be on our way. Now, as far as security, it's really not a big deal. When you go to profile a document, be it one that you've already got in the system or one that you are profiling right now, there is a button down here that most people don't pay attention to. Now, there is one level of quote-unquote security that they have simply brought right out to the forefront, mainly because, and I'm pretty sure this is new in GX3, that this is out here. It might be new in GX2. I sometimes get confused. However, this is the button that you would use, or the checkbox, I should say, that you would use if you just want to make a document read-only. So you've got a form letter, you've got a set of standard paragraphs, something that you want to make available to the people in the firm to use as boilerplate text, for instance, or something that they fill out and start with, and then you want them to save under a new document. That's just checking the read-only box. Very simple. Now we can go out to I almost said DOS. That lets you know that I'm older than most. You can go out to Windows Explorer and implement this read-only technology or this read-only switch out there, and there are a lot of other ways you can get this in place. One reason that you have to be careful about using read-only is that it is something that people can change. So If somebody sets a document as read-only and then other people in the firm have access to that switch, if you will, that little checkbox, they can uncheck it. So be warned, there are other ways to make things read-only in such a way that people cannot change the read-only status and accidentally save over the top of the document. Of course, if you change the read-only status and then save over the top of the document, it's probably not an accident, but we're not going to go there. This, however, is what I'm talking about when I say security. Now, because I've got a document that has not had any security applied, I have the option to classify or declassify. In other words, to lock it up. You'll notice this icon is a lock where the lock is closed. Or to open it up, you'll notice this is a lock where the lock is open. You don't get that prompt when you first start a document and go to save it, so I'm going to show you that from that perspective to show you the difference. We're going to go into Word, we're going to type the word test, and we're going to go to save the document and look at security from that perspective. So I am going to click on Save, and I'm going to put it in my client files. Okay, I lied. You can tell how nervous I am. I'm just lying right and left. I guess you do see this. I'm going to pretend like that's changed in the last week or so, but we all know that it hasn't. So what you're doing is you're either fully unlocking a document, fully locking a document, or reclassifying. And I shouldn't say fully locking, because when you say classify, you're presented with these options. Hidden means that only I will see it and only I can search for and find this document. Protected means that it's read-only to everyone else. Now, right away you're thinking, well, what about this thing out here, this read-only switch? And we don't have that until the document's been saved and you pull it back up. That is something that can be changed by other users, and a document that I mark as read-only in here is still not read-only to me. If I mark a document as read-only out here, it's read-only to me, but then I could go and anybody else could go and change it. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then finally we have custom rights. Now custom rights is really a matter of being able to say that for certain people, like Patty or Leanne, I don't know why we have Patty's name with Leanne, we'll get into that in a second, or we'll fix that in a second. Leanne's making a note. Let's say this person here, we want to be able to read and write and find, not profile, not delete, and not get into the security, meaning they couldn't come in and reclassify this document. We can then add another user, Joe for instance, and we can say that this person can reprofile, but they still can't delete. There we go. So we can come in on a person-by-person basis to this file security screen, and the way we get here is by coming into custom rights, where we can define rights by groups and users, and we can add users. We can define their rights as they're highlighted. We can check the rights that we want for them, and we can uncheck the rights that we don't want for them and assign rights this way. Leanne, do you have a question?
Well, the question is one of our listeners has lost sound, so I'm not sure if everyone else has.
I'd like everybody to raise your hand using that button that I showed you that's right here. Right here, everybody click on that button if you can hear me. Anybody, Leanne?
Yes. So I think this might be a individual issue. So I think I would advise them to hang up and dial in.
Yes. Type a note to them telling them to hang up and dial back in.
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So these rights are defined here by pressing the security button, by pressing classify, making it either hidden, meaning it's only available to you, make it protected, which is read-only to everybody, and by defining custom rights. Now, even if you make it read-only to everybody, they still, unless you define custom rights, would have a chance to come back in here and resecure this document or unsecure this document. So if you really want to make something read-only, a good way to do it is custom rights and to not give them the ability to secure the document. You could, for instance, come in and say, for everybody that we want everything except being able to secure or perhaps read-only, but not the ability and not the ability to secure, and that means they couldn't come in and change that. I would have all rights because I'm the owner. Everyone else would have read-only, find and read capability, but they can't secure. So if you want somebody to come into a document, be able to read only, not be able to uncheck this box, not be able to click this button, and get in here and change it to not be read only, that is the way to do it, as opposed to this field out here that we can get to when we have a document that's already been profiled, where we could mark it read only there. Okay? Now, if we do apply security, I'm going to do that. I'm going to say that it's protected. I'm going to say it's hidden. And then we say it's okay. We get a little icon here to indicate that this is protected. And we can come in here. Oops. We can come in here. There we go. And look at the profile and see that it is hidden. Okay? So we know that this document, or this email in this instance, is protected because we've got the green lock. We come into the profile, we can see that it's hidden. Now that it's been marked as hidden or read-only or something behind the security button, when I go back in, I have the opportunity to simply go straight into reclassification. Classifying means that I come up with these rights here. Reclassify means I'm going to go in and straight to this screen and change what people can do. Now you'll notice when this is hidden, everything for everyone else is off. And then finally, my other option is to declassify. So I'm going to say yes, and what that does is totally clears security. So to summarize, when you're profiling a document, or after the fact by coming back into the profile, and just for those who may not have been quite following what I was doing, I simply highlighted this document and clicked on the reprofile button. You can go into security, you can classify a document as one of these two predefined things or go into custom and define specific rights. You can come into a document that has been already classified with certain security rights and declassify it. And you can go in, once you've classified something, as for instance hidden, you can go back in then and reclassify, meaning we want to change those rights, add people, delete people, change what rights they have. Now, just for a moment, I want to talk about groups versus users. We recommend in a firm that groups be defined to determine levels of rights. Perhaps those groups would be attorneys, paralegals, support staff, accounting. Perhaps they're just different levels. You might even have groups for read-only and groups for the different levels of security, hidden. But if you change the security on a group level, then when somebody new is added to that group, they inherit the security for all the documents that the security has been assigned on in the past, even though they weren't a member of that group at that time. If you assign your document rights on an individual level, let's say in our firm we have Leanne and Mary Jo, and then we add another person and we want to give them the same rights, we have to go into these individual documents and tell each document that that new person has rights to that document or doesn't have rights to that document. So now you'll notice that these are groups right here. Owners and everyone else are groups. So if I say owner has all rights and everyone else has no rights, then when that new person gets added, they are automatically in the group everyone else. You can also simply say we want to give the people in accounting rights to this document. And so then later when Joanne enters the accounting group by joining the firm and being assigned to that group within Worldox configuration, then she automatically inherits all those rights. So be careful when you define rights on an individual file-by-file basis and on other ways that you do it by group as opposed to by individual, unless you have a specific reason for doing it by individual. Now, one example might be to say we're having a birthday party, a surprise birthday party for Leanne. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that. For Leanne, and so we have a list of what each person is bringing, and we specifically want everyone to have all rights, but then Leanne not to have rights. That's an example where it's perfectly fine to use an individual to assign rights as opposed to a group. It's specifically Leanne's birthday party. It's specifically her that we want to keep out of the documents. So on those 3 or 4 documents that we have that pertain to that, we can specifically say Leanne has no rights, everybody else does. But that's very rare. That's a unique example. Most often it's going to be groups that you're going to want to exclude from using certain documents. And of course that means then that you need to already have those groups set up. You can't, as you can see, set up groups from within here. Groups need to be set up in WD-admin, which is the administrator console for Worldox. So be aware of that. And when the powers that be define the system, that's something, or enhance or change the system to accommodate this, that's one of the things you're going to want to make sure of, is that you have those groups set to handle those situations. Now, Leanne, do you have a question? You can just nod your head. Leanne is in the same room as me today, which is a little unique because usually Mary Jo's sitting over there. What do we have, Leanne?
I don't have a question.
Oh, you said yes. Leanne is teasing me. Okay. Now the other topic for today is how to search and how to search within results. The searching within results is the secret that we're going to present to you today. But before we do that, just a little bit of groundwork. As most everyone knows, direct access will take me straight to a certain folder. For instance, if I'm looking at the client file profile group and I want to go to Purdue Law, and I know that I'm looking for matter 00, those things, once I fill them out, it'll take me there. That's not searching. That's actually going straight to a folder and looking at the documents without having searched. The other way to get there is to go to Find, to type in Purdue for the client, and let it put the client number in like it just did, and to pull up the matter table or simply type in 00 for the matter. And when I search this way, I actually am searching. It gives me the same results, but the documents happen to be in the same folder, and so going with direct access will get me there also. What Find can do that search can't do, that direct access can't do, is go just one folder deep. If I have my, as most of our clients do, if I have my client profile group arranged as client and then matter, and each of those being a subfolder, I can't in direct access say I want to look at Purdue Law's documents, but regardless of what matter they are. In search, I can. Okay. Now, it just so happens that Purdue Law only has one matter in our system, but I think you get the picture. Find is actually going to go out to the indexes, which is what Worldox is kind of famous for, the fact that it indexes everything, full text, and by profile, and let me search on a whole variety of different things. Whereas direct access just lets me go in and say, take me to this matter 00 folder under Purdue Law Offices. And it just dumps me there just like Windows Explorer would and says, here's your files. Now, search or find, I can't get used to the fact that we've renamed this find. I think we did that when we had our button bar configuration user group meeting. Search or find allows you to also search on what's in the document, name, what the document ID is, the initials of the owner, dates created, modified, and accessed. Text in file, that's a huge one. If we were to type PUR, you'll notice all these letters are in our text document index. If I go further and type Purdue, yep, there's Purdue 1800. And I can now search, and these are all the documents within Purdue Law that have the word Purdue in them. Now, how do I find, okay, I've got these, it's however many documents, 27. Now I'm looking specifically for, oh, what am I looking for? Internet. So I also want the word Internet. Well, it's hard to put your Boolean logic in here, and I may have searched on one thing and then another and then another. There's a better way to do it than to come in here and type and or to try and phrase a search phrase here. Because what that'll do is it will then go into the search and research every document in the system again, when in fact I just want to search these 27 for a new word. So what I do, and this is where the weird part comes in, is instead of modifying my last active search, I start a new search. And I know that sounds weird because you really want to search within the search that you just did. And then when it says search what, you say current list. And what that means is that this new search that I'm doing is only to be on the 27 documents that are already in the system, already on the screen. Now let's bring that back just a little. Let's go here and start a brand new search without searching the, we're searching the active profile groups, and we're going to look for Purdue, and this time we're going to find more than 27 because we're not just looking within Purdue law. Give me a second here. It's going to find a huge number, so many that it's put them all onto multiple pages. And I did this for a reason, because you'll notice that I have pages of results because I have so many documents in my system that have the word Purdue in them. But I have this option here. This takes me back a page. This takes me forward. This takes me to the end, the next 10 pages. This takes me to the very end, previous 10, very beginning. But I also have this combine all pages. And it'll take a few seconds to combine thousands of results onto one screen. But when it does, we can then say find, start a new search, search the current list, and now we're looking for mobile. And then what it does is it searches through these 3,500 documents and finds only those documents that already had the word Purdue, but that also have the word mobile in them. Now, when you get into this method of search, it's doing what we call walking the tree, because it's doing a search within a search. So these searches take a little bit longer, but they are very good at narrowing specifically down to certain words, word at a time. Because what you do is you search for Purdue and you say, okay, 3,500 documents, that's too many. I'm looking for this, mobile. It's going to come back and find 40 or 50 documents. And then I might search one more time within those results for the word internet, and bam, I'm going to get straight to the 2 or 3 documents that I'm looking for, and I found the needle in the haystack. That is how to search within a search and to drill down in your results and to keep going until you find a finite group of documents that represent what it is that you're looking for. Do we have questions, Leanne?
No, Paul, there's no questions.
I think you're ready for me this time. Okay. Well, the topics for next month's virtual user group meeting for Worldox are how to lock down whole matters or clients or types of documents or virtually anything by user. We looked today at locking down individual documents. What if you wanted to say only those documents that fall into a certain document type, or only the documents for these 10 clients matters should be accessible to this person? We call this an ethical wall. Some firms call them a Chinese wall. It's a way to build a wall around certain documents and say, you're allowed in here, you can't go anywhere else. Or sometimes it's the opposite. You're allowed everywhere that you're allowed, but you can't go into these documents even though normally everybody else is. A good example of when this gets used is when a lawyer is leaving a firm, but he's still there for a couple of weeks to work on these 7 matters. So we build an ethical wall allowing him or his username to only see those 7 matters. Another is a tip that we're going to give. It's something we discovered that we think is very cool. You can search in Worldox for hidden and checked out and protected documents even if you don't know what they are. So you can say, as an administrator, you can say, show me all the protected documents. And being a manager, you have rights to see those documents. Or you can say, show me all those documents that have been checked out. That's one of my favorites because users will check out documents, and there's no real way other than going to the individual matters or finding them in search results and looking at the checked out icon that appears in the list that those documents are checked out. But this is a way that allows you to go in and say, show me every document that's been checked out. We can also then look for protected documents that way. So we can see documents that have been hidden, documents that have been protected, and documents that have been checked out. That way when a user comes to you and says, I checked this thing out, I don't know where to go to get it back in, you can pull up a list of all the documents that are checked in. Or the user says to you, I hid this document, I didn't mean to, but I hid it, and now I can't find it. And Laura Ann can't find it either, my legal assistant. And it's a way for you to go in and search for all documents that are hidden or protected or checked out. Well, everybody have a good week, a good day, a good month. We will see you next month, just as we do every time on the, what is it, Leanne, the third Monday of the month. Gosh, that's hard to get used to and hard to say. Third Monday of the month is our virtual user group meeting for, no, it's the first, it's September. The first Monday of the month is our virtual user group meeting for Worldox users. The, okay, I'm sorry, the second. I'm getting confused here. The second Monday of the month is Worldox Virtual User Group. The last Monday of the month is Tabs 3 and Practice Master Virtual User Group meetings. We will see you in a month on the second Monday of the month. Have a good day, everybody. Goodbye.